Hello and welcome to DKR Sports. I'm Rubin Wright. This is the Monday weekly recap show of your sporting news of the past week. In the MLB, the Cleveland Indians and the Toronto Blue Jays both moved on from their respective series. They are now facing each other, and the Cleveland Indians now lead 2-0, looking to advance to the World Series. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs also moved on in their respective divisions, and they both now face each other, whereas the series is tied 1-1 apiece. In the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers re-signed J.R. Smith, a vital piece to the team, and someone that LeBron James quote as a piece they need in order to move on and possibly win an NBA championship for a second straight time. Also, Washington Wizards' Inan Amin is out 4 to 6 weeks with an injury. Basically, this can impact the Washington Wizards very heavily, with John Wall and Bradley Beal being their main centerpieces. Amin looked to be a vital piece to help them after he re-signed for a contract just this past offseason. In college football, there's some major news. Louisville beat Duke 24-14. Lamar Jackson looks to impress as his Heisman Trophy career looks to move forward. Alabama beat Tennessee 49-10, a big marquee game of the week. Alabama retained was number 1 going into the game. Tennessee went in as number 9. Tennessee unfortunately did not impress at home. The Vols, a very disappointing thing for them as they look to finally have that season where they dominate the SEC and take it away from the Crimson Tide. Clemson beat North Carolina State in OT. North Carolina State had a chance to win with a field goal with 2 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, their kicker missed a chip shot, about 30-yard kick that was just a straight approach, hit it wide right in order to send the game into overtime. In overtime, Clemson dominated North Carolina State, knowing that with this loss, that would have knocked them out of the college football playoff, something that they've been last year. They want to go again and win this year with their Heisman Trophy possible quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Ole Miss lost to Arkansas 34-30. Ole Miss, a team that continues to impress but also underimpress at times, has lost some very close games. But Arkansas, a riser in the SEC that no one really saw. Brett Bielema, an average coach, a lot of people cite in the SEC. Their only real loss being to Alabama, but they're now impressing with other wins against the SEC. Though they don't look to win the SEC, they look to at least be a very big powerhouse in it and possibly make a big-time bowl game, maybe the Sugar Bowl or something, due to Alabama's probable case of going to the college football playoff. Houston beat Tulsa 38-31. Houston, coming off from a loss to Navy that knocked them back in the polls, almost loses another one against Tulsa, a team in Tulsa that is very underrated, but also not very that good either. They showed up against Houston. Houston tried to look past them just like they did Navy, and Houston almost loses another. Houston is really kind of on ground control, and trying to control their fate by at least getting to a big time bowl game by hopefully winning out in the AAC. Ohio State beat Wisconsin 30-23 in a game that really was dominated by Wisconsin for the majority of the game. Until the fourth quarter, Wisconsin led 16-6, with Ohio State all but trying to hold on to that college football playoff spot that they have while they're sitting at number 2. Wisconsin, a team that in the Big Ten has lost to Michigan, but with this win could have possibly put them back into the college football playoff. But unfortunately, with this loss, all but nullifies their chances at going to the college football playoff. Vanderbilt beat Georgia 17-16, and now a lot of people at Georgia really question, was Kirby Smart a good move for Georgia? Kirby Smart, a former defensive coordinator of Alabama, now head coach of Georgia. Only time will tell. Georgia definitely has had a rough season where they thought they would be able to dominate and compete with Alabama for that SEC championship. Syracuse beat Virginia Tech 31-17. In a stunning game, Virginia Tech, ranked number 17 in the game, looked to be able to control their fate in the ACC. Virginia Tech all but lost the game due to their own mistakes. Due to mistakes as well as bad offensive play and defensive play, they were unable to control the Orange as their quarterback, Eric Dungy, ran over Virginia Tech for pretty much a good ACC day of 400-plus passing yards, as well as making the offense look amazing. Stanford beat Notre Dame 17-10. Stanford, without Christian McCaffrey, looked better after coming off a loss against Washington where they were utterly destroyed. Notre Dame now falls to 2-5, and it makes a lot of people wonder, is Brian Kelly going to remain at Notre Dame? In the top 25 rankings, we have for the top 5, it's number 1 Alabama, number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Michigan, number 4 Clemson, and number 5 Washington. There's also a couple of major movers in the actual rankings. Nebraska went from 8, is now number 8 from number 10, and now makes things wonder. Nebraska, maybe a possible team for the Big Ten, and maybe a team that could possibly compete for that college football playoff if they're able to control their destiny and win out. Baylor moves up to number 9 before they were number 11. Really, for the Big 12, the only team that looks to have a shot is Baylor, but maybe even possible West Virginia, who's another big mover. West Virginia was 20th last week, but they move up to 12 with a great season so far. Wisconsin, another Big Ten team, as we talked about, they lost earlier this week to Ohio State. They now are number 10, where they were number 8 coming in. Arkansas was 22, moving up to 17 after an impressive win over Ole Miss. Tennessee, after a loss to Alabama at home, goes from 9 to 18. Western Michigan, one of those non-Power 5 schools that is continuing to look to impress, though one thing you probably won't see, they probably will not be in the college football playoff due to weak scheduling that they have. They don't really play any major teams. They are now 20th, and they were 24th last week. Ole Miss, after having lost, is now 23rd after being 12th last week. The newcomers to the top 25 are number 22 North Carolina after their win this week over Miami, and number 25 LSU. Also, for a major mover, Miami does drop out of the top 25 now after their loss to North Carolina. For the college football playoff prediction right now, it really looks like it's going to be, with your top 5, as we mentioned, you have Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, and Washington. Ohio State and Michigan have to play each other sometime, so that pretty much guarantees that it's going to be, if it remains like this, you have Alabama, Big Ten school in Ohio State or Michigan, Clemson, and then I think Washington. What I would have to say is I believe it's going to be Alabama, Michigan, Clemson, and then Washington. But you never know, especially with a Clemson team that has very much underperformed in certain games. They might get knocked out and might give rise for a team like Baylor or West Virginia or even Texas A&M, Texas A&M, a team that has to play Alabama. Trevor Knight, who's playing very well. In the NFL, the Chargers beat the Broncos 21-13 on the Thursday night football game. The Chargers now looking to try and bounce back after they had some heartbreaking losses. The Broncos have now had a slip-up. Trevor Siemian had some they had bad luck with Trevor Siemian as well as him getting hurt, and then Paxton Lynch had to come and relieve him a couple of the past weeks. And it's looking, the Broncos did start off undefeated. Now they're starting to gain some losses. The Eagles are in the same case. The Eagles lost to the Redskins 27-20. The Eagles started off perfect with Carson Wentz looking like the next Tom Brady poster child of the NFL at quarterback, but he's fallen off and they've lost 2 straight games, but it's probably no time to panic in Philadelphia. The Dolphins beat the Steelers 30-15, and this all but makes people wonder, is the Steelers really going to be in that Super Bowl like so many predicted? Only time will tell, especially with Ben Roethlisberger in a possible injury. The Titans beat the Browns 28-26. It all but continues a disastrous season for Coach Hugh Jackson of the Cleveland Browns, as they've had problems at quarterback. Cody Kessler has looked to start this coming week, but the Browns still without a win. The Bills beat the 49ers 45-16. The Bills now have an impressive stretch of 4 straight wins and making look like they're a possible playoff contender, which is great news for Bills fans. The 49ers put Colin Kaepernick in at quarterback. He did well, but was not able to carry them to a victory. The Giants beat the Ravens 27-23. The New York Giants, with Odell Beckham's return performance to his greatness, had a great receiving yard day as well as touchdown day, and it looks like he's back to his former self after being criticized by numerous former coaches as well as numerous people around the league. The Saints beat the Panthers 41-38, and this all but makes us look for a question. What happened to the Panthers? They lose a Super Bowl, now they're 1-5. Who's to blame? Cam Newton, the coaching staff, or who? The Cowboys beat the Packers 30-16, all but a great impressive performances from both Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. both now looking like outstanding pickups as in the draft for the Cowboys, and looking like they'll be the franchise pieces of the Cowboys to come, and the guys to lead them to their next Super Bowls. The Seahawks beat the Falcons 26-24 after many people picked the Falcons to easily run over the Seahawks. The Falcons were impressing. The Seahawks, though, with their elite defense and Richard Sherman, looked to hold them. They contained Julio Jones, they contained Matt Ryan, and Russell Wilson was able to perform on offense. And this All But Thinks makes you think, can the Seahawks go back to that Super Bowl? And finally, the Texans beat the Colts 26-23. The Texans came back and beat the Colts in OT after the Colts held a 14-point win. And this all but makes you think, what's happening in Indianapolis? Is Andrew Luck all but hit his prime? Or is he in a disastrous slump right now? Only time will tell. But that's been all for here on DKR Sports. I've been Rubin Wright, and this has been the Monday weekly recap show of your sporting news. Look again at next Monday for this week's sports, as well as we have a couple other shows that come out throughout the weeks based on the NFL, based on the NBA. We have some fantasy picks, but I want you guys to go check that out. But please leave a like and subscribe, and continue to watch our videos. We got some good content coming out. But also, remember to follow us at DKR Sports Radio at Twitter, and you'll get even more sporting news. I've been Rubin Wright, and this has been DKR Sports. I'll catch you later.